Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time we're looking at a really interesting knife. This is the Yahiko Shidogami, or white number 2. I'm going to call it Kasumi Bunka because they've got a hammered one that's a similar name, 180 millimeter knife. So this one has got 3 layers for the construction. The center harder core cutting steel layer is Shidogami, or white paper number 2, high carbon reactive steel. Heat treats about 61 Rockwell in that core steel. Then what they do is they take a softer stainless steel cladding on either side of that core steel, and it does wrap around over the top as well. Sure looks like it to me. So it wraps around over the top, and they put a really beautiful frosted, kind of Kasumi frosted finish on this thing, and it's pretty polished down towards the edge. You can really easily see that core steel coming out from the cladding. Super easy. So we'll talk more about this knife, but the dimensions and such will vary a little bit from knife to knife and the weights, but this particular one is 161 grams, or 5.7 ounces. The edge length is about 187 on this one, so it's about 7.3 inches. Overall length about 12 inches or so, 328 millimeters. The spine thickness, it's a little thick coming through the handle out of there, about 3.5, but then it thins down to about 2.2, and then thins down even a little bit, maybe at about 2 millimeters, and then you got this turn on this reverse sword tip here, and then you can see it's even starts thinning out. The grind really starts up pretty high on this. It does not start here. It starts way up here, and it's just a real kind of subtle contour, convex down to that edge. It's really beautifully done. And so you can see it just starts kind of thinning out and thinning out and thinning out. And man, does that tip get thin. This tip just flies through stuff. So super skinny mini tip on this thing. And it's also very thin at the edge. This baby is a very, very good performing knife. It is an excellent performer. It's kind of almost in that laser class, but it's got a little thickness to the blade. So let's see here. You can see, is it tall? Yeah, it's pretty tall. So this is about 55.5 millimeters. So I guess that's the style they're going for. It's quite tall. And the handle is nicely done, octagonal ambidextrous rosewood with a black packerwood ferrule. Very smooth fit and finish on the handle. Nice tight install. Real tight install on this thing. Real nicely sealed up. So they've done a lot of work to this knife. Circumference on that handle about 75 millimeters or 3 inches where the ferrule meets the wood. And so let's take a look at this thing close up. As I said, it's just flawless. It's beautiful, beautiful knife. And they've got hand chisel kanji. You can run your finger over there. It's got nice crisp raised edges on it from the chisel marks. You can see the polished core steel there. 6, maybe 7 out of 10 on my scale as far as how sharp it is out of the box. So very sharp out of the box. Left side is plain. And again, well, let's do a close-up of that kanji. It's just a really pretty blade. The spine is rounded and polished. And the choil is rounded, not quite as much polished, but it's nicely contoured and smoothed out, so it's very comfortable. They put a lot of attention to detail on this thing. This blade was dead on straight. Not every blade is that super straight, but this thing was really straight top and bottom. Very thin at the edge. It's got some flatness to the heel. Let's see, balance point is right about there. The handle's kind of dense as far as the material goes, so it's going to bring the balance point back. So very nimble feel. On the cutting board, here's what it looks like. It's got a pretty substantial heel, and it flows into a pretty good stop. It's a fairly hard stop. I did use this knife. I couldn't resist. I can't use all of them. I would if I could, but I did put this through some of its paces, and it's a great performing knife. Food release is okay because of the style of blade that you've got here, and the contours are so subtle there. You don't have a lot of like food separation, kind of a wedge effect. So it flies through stuff, and it's awesome through root vegetables and soft product. But, you know, food release is going to be decent, but not fantastic. But so you flow into a pretty hard stop there, but a good half the blade is flat, maybe 40% of it. And then you got a very low tip. So this is not a rocker. No, no, no. So you can see that there. So you're going to get, low rocking over stuff, push-pull cuts, some nice chopping on the back part of the blade. And but you can see the tip is really low to the center line. So this is just a very cool blade. It's extremely well crafted. It's a fantastic performer. It looks great. And it's just one of the more unique knives I've seen come through. I guess the tallness, the height of the blade kind of helps make it stand out as well. So this is the Yahiko Shidogami, or white number 2. I'll call it Kasumi Bunka 180mm knife.